Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm making this video in reply to somebody that wrote a comment on my video right here. Did Hitler work with the Zionists to help create Israel? And
Black.
and this guy basically wrote a comment saying that well, it's a link that takes you to a website debunking Hitler's Zionist ties. But I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter. Why do I say that? Because you're forgetting one crucial aspect into the whole game. And it's the aliens that run and control this planet. So if it doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a Zionist or a Gentile. These aliens being on higher dimensions, controlling people behind the scenes from the astral through psychic power and ability, influencing minds through telepathy and so let's look at the facts. Hitler, I mean, maybe he was against Palestine becoming Israel a Jewish state. I don't know, but what I'm saying is he still played a role. I mean, the whole World War II. If not for World War II, if not for his war upon the Jews, the Jews would have never had any place to run to begin with, and they ran to Palestine, and Israel was created in the process. Another thing that I always hear from the JOS is that Hitler did more good for the Gentile than he did the Jew. I mean, if it wasn't for Hitler, the Jew would have never been exposed in the first place, which I think is the biggest bullshit claim. I mean, one of the biggest bullshit claims that that has came out of the JOS, because I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Hitler did more for the Jew than he did the opposite. Because if it wasn't for Hitler, if it wasn't for the Jews starting war against Germany, or Germany starting war against the Jews, I don't know which ones started it, but if it wasn't for the Holocaust and all that, and there would be, if there wasn't no Germany, there'd be no Holocaust. I mean, if there wasn't no Hitler, there'd be no Holocaust. And the Holocaust gave the Jews the biggest, one of their biggest sympathy cards on the planet. It gave them a lot more power. I mean, it gave them a buttload of power over Gentiles, over the world. So, and then, like I said before, it opened up the doors for the creation of Israel. So Germany played a vital role in giving the Jews that power in the first place. So if there was never, I mean, my point is that Hitler, he did more good for the Jews than he did bad. I mean, if he exposed them, then he did a very shitty job of it, because Hollywood, I mean, propaganda movies, I mean, everybody know, I mean, anybody that's intelligent, that has an open heart, and is able to critically think about shit to a certain degree, knows that the Holocaust was blown out of proportions. I mean, I highly doubt there is anywhere near 6 million Jews that died during the Holocaust. If I were to guess, and I don't even want to say it was 2 million, because it feels to me that's really kind of pushing it there too. But from what I've seen, and this, and who knows? I mean, this information could be bullshit too. But I've seen sources that show Red Cross papers talking about that the number of Jews that really actually died during during when they were in these concentration camps, and was around like 200,000. And then I mean nowhere close to like, a million or 2 million or anything like that. And then you also got quite a few Jews coming out of these camps also saying that they weren't treated horribly in these camps, that they were actually, the Nazi guards were actually pretty nice to them. So but I'm not saying bad shit didn't happen within these camps, because it probably did. I just think that these stories, and that the Holocaust itself was really blown out of proportion. And so, Hollywood coming out with all these movies that really make the Holocaust look like a nightmare, and more than 90% of the fucking world, sympathizes with the Jew, and they believe this propaganda. And so, so when the JOS says some ridiculous shit like that Hitler exposed the Jew, if it wasn't for Hitler nobody would know how bad the Jew is, I really think it's bullshit, man. I mean, because he hardly did anything to wake the world up to the Jewish threat. And like I said, if not for Hitler, the Jews wouldn't have the Holocaust. And this pretty much is their like base of power, So so yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter if he was Jewish or not. And I'm not too trusting of this link anyways. I mean, perhaps this is a lot of factual shit. I mean, I didn't read through the entire thing, but still, I'm still gonna take it with some skepticism, because I know just how well those who control, this country, I mean the world, they can easily put out well-written, shit that can debunk, I mean they could really debunk anything if they really wanted to, because these people, I mean they know they know how the human mind works inside and out. They know us better than we know ourselves. They know. I mean, it's like I mean, they're very good at psychological warfare. They're very. I mean, these people, the people that the aliens that control humanity are not stupid by any means, man. They can easily write something out very, very, very professional like, and then really make it seem like it's just 100% fucking truth, like this does, like this right here. I mean, this seems really fucking spot on. But is it? I mean, is there any actual? I mean, I'm sure some of this is based on actual evidence, but then I question whether some of it is. So, but again, I mean, even if this is 100% fucking spot on, it still doesn't change the fact that Hitler gave the Jews the Holocaust. It still doesn't change the fact that he helped create Israel, even when he didn't want to, and it still doesn't change the fact that he himself said that he was being guided by the gods, by these aliens, and there's even been German scientists, they're top German scientists that came out of Nazi Germany that said it themselves that they had help from people that were from other worlds. So and the JOS would say that these people from other worlds, of course, are the Nordic alien, the Satan and his demons, the good gods, and they were here to fight against the Jew. But that's, I mean, if you look at it from a logical point of view, they didn't do anything against the Jew. They gave the Jew a lot more power. So if you look at it from a logical point of view, these aliens are playing humanity out like a game of fucking chess, and they started World War II behind the scenes to create the Holocaust, to set up the stage for humanity's enslavement. Hitler was a pawn within that game to do that. There was no good Nordics involved that were fighting for the Aryan race or anyone else, for that matter. They were there for the Jew. So it's just, and that's the most logical fucking picture that one can paint. And I know a lot of people that follow the JOS are gonna put their fucking, put their hands over their ears and close their eyes and be like, I can't hear you. No, it's not true. It's not true. But it's like monkey sees no evil, monkey says no evil, monkey hears no evil, monkey flat out just denies the truth, and that's what us monkeys are programmed to do. It's written in our DNA to stay within. At least I think it's written in our DNA. I mean, who knows? I mean, if they have the faith gene, I mean, if we have the faith gene, because scientists actually found a gene within our DNA that is actually responsible for our belief in God or higher powers. And I really think that these aliens, when they created humanity through genetic engineering, they stuck that gene within us, so we would always be dependent upon their false gods. So that we would always tie into them, not only on a psychological level, but also on a psychic level as well. And that's where that gene comes into play. So when one gets deep into meditation and then you have these same asshole gods pretending to be your guides too, but really they're actually those that control Plato's cave. How do you know that they're good or not? I mean, you're in Plato's cave, you don't know, and you don't even know that you don't know until you start fucking getting roasted in that fire, and then you start to kind of your brain kind of jumps into that fight or flight mode, to where you're forced to acknowledge the truth that you really are in Plato's cave, and that these gods could be really that they could be assholes, and they were always assholes to begin with, and then you're forced to acknowledge the surface, and that you were always kept from reaching the surface by these same gods that pretended to be your friends and your guides, and so when you're deep into meditation and all that, they're going to keep you from awakening your psychic senses, or reprogramming your DNA to anywhere to where you see fit, ascending to higher levels of consciousness to where your DNA would change on its own into something more than just human DNA. So being human is a curse. We humans can evolve into something more through meditation. So being human is our curse.